Welcome to the stream, everyone. Let me know your questions ahead of game week 10. I'm going to put Captain Paul up. Give me a minute. So, who is your game week 10 captain? My captain currently is Erling Haaland. I'm tempted by Mbumo as well. Gyökeres is still an option. I think I would have gone Saka if I owned Saka ahead of game week 10, but can we trust Gyökeres? I'm not really sure about that at the moment, so Erling Haaland at home against Bournemouth might be the way to go for my team. I only have one free transfer. I think I'm going to use this transfer ahead of game week 10. Might actually take a hit as well. Pedro Porro, I know he did reasonably well in game week 9, but in the next 3 fixtures he will play against my midfielders and forwards, so I'm kind of tempted to just sell Pedro Porro. I can bring in someone like Munoz, can bring in Gabriel as well. Joe Pedro to Mateta, still an option for me ahead of the deadline. So, funny thing, last couple of streams I've had some technical issues when it comes to my microphone, camera, stuff like that. This time this went pretty smooth, but I just realized something's wrong with the Wi-Fi, so hopefully it's fixed. Looks like it's going a bit better. At the moment I need to change that timer as well. Let's see. There we go. So hopefully the connection is better. FB Lisa, hi, thanks for joining in. How's everything going? I haven't really got the time to watch your GW10 Team Selection video yet. So it came out earlier today, but haven't found the time. We'll definitely watch it ahead of the deadline. So probably later this evening or in the morning tomorrow. Hyung Min Max, hi. Any transfers you doing? I'm really tempted to actually take a hit this game week. I have one free transfer. I will most probably, if I don't take the hit, I will most probably use a transfer in defense. Pedro Porro, I will probably just leave. I know he did well in game week 9, but he will play against my midfielders and forwards in the upcoming game week. So Pedro Porro to either Munoz or Gabriel. I'm really tempted by Munoz, to be honest. Porro, Munoz, and I'm tempted by Munritita. Salut. Salut, salut. Joe Pedro and Paqueta is bad. Love the Mbumo pick. Mbumo, he has done really well recently. Was really close to Captain Mbumo in game week 9 actually, but I went for Erling Haaland. Could have been a really, really good game week if I decided to Captain Mbumo. 2 goals, 15 points, bonus. I think that Nottingham Forest is a really good fixture for Man United in game week 10 as well. So at the moment, my captain is Erling Haaland. Gyökeres is the wise captain, but it's actually between Erling Haaland and Mbumo at the moment. Pakita. not the best fixture for West Ham, and they haven't looked good in the last couple of game weeks. But at home against Newcastle, I might actually start Paqueta. I have Kudus on the bench as well. Maybe he is a better option compared to Paqueta, but Joe Pedro will score. Keep him. I think it's really tough, especially if I decide to sell Joe Pedro. I might as well just keep. Sorry, if I decide to sell Pedro Porro, I might as well just keep Joe Pedro. At the moment, I have Joe Pedro playing against Pedro Porro, but if I do Pedro Porro to Munoz, Joe Pedro, he might actually stay in my team. I think it's at the fixture against Spurs. I think Spurs, they have done well, but in game week 11 and game week 12, Chelsea have definitely the two of the best fixtures. This is one of the reasons why I'm a bit tempted to keep Joe Pedro. I know about the stats, I know about his expected goal involvement from the last 6 game weeks. I know about his volume of shots hasn't been great, only an expected goal involvement of 0. I think it's 0.33. Start Reinders or Dewsbury Hall. I would actually go for Dewsbury Hall in game week 10. He's almost set pieces for Everton. I know that NGI, he is taking their penalties, but corners, free kicks, I think that Dewsbury Hall at the moment, he has a lot of routes to goal. And I know that Sunderland have done well in some of the fixtures as well, but I think that Everton will do well against them. And this is a Monday night fixture as well, isn't it? Yeah, Sunderland Everton on Monday, so I would be really tempted to play Dewsbury Hall in game week 10 ahead of Reinders, especially if you're going to watch the game on Monday. Having an extra player in the last game of the game week is always a good thing. So start Reinders or Dewsbury Hall, I would say. Dewsbury Hall. Erling Haaland, so far the captain favorite, 50%, 33, Saka 17, United midfielder. No one has voted for someone else. Yeah, on Monday it's exciting to have a player, thanks. I'm not sure if this should be the main reason why we select our bench and captain, stuff like that, at what time they play in the game week, but if it's really, really close, I think that picking a player at the time when you know you're going to watch them, this usually makes sense. Man City, they are playing Sunday, the late fixture on Sunday as well, so might be fun to watch that game. I will watch both of those games, Man United, Bournemouth, and I will watch Everton against Sunderland. I might actually do a live stream Monday night. I did this a couple of weeks ago as well. It was West Ham against Brentford. Having Paqueta in that fixture, I was really, really excited ahead of the game. Watched it for 90 minutes, but a really, really frustrating watch as a Paqueta owner, to be honest. Why not Captain Timber or Gabriel Haaland? Scored only 2 goals on 6 games versus Bournemouth. Saka, I think that if I own Saka, he will probably be my captain in game week 10. I don't own Saka and I don't really trust Gyökeres. I think that the fixture for Arsenal is really, really good playing against Burnley. They are definitely the worst defense, even if they have kept a clean sheet. They kept a clean sheet against Leeds, but they are still the team with the worst defensive stats in the last 4 games. So if you own Bukayo Saka, I think that he definitely is a really good captain option. So for me, it's between Erling Haaland and Mbumo. Don't really trust Gyökeres as mentioned. I think he will start, but not convinced by Gyökeres at the moment. Radu Gavriluta, let's have a look at your team. And if you're interested, head over to X, post a picture of your team selection under my latest post, and I'll get it up on the screen. Let's have a look. Radu Gavriluta, this is the team on the screen and the game week 9 score. Let's have a look. Dubravka, Ingol, Munoz, Senesi, Gabriel, Semenyo, Esse, Nice, and Jai Gordon. So kind of bit unlucky with some of those players in game week 9. Jared Bowen up front, Erling Haaland, and Joao Pedro. I want to go Joao Pedro to Thiago, Kudus to Sar, and Porro to Timber for a -4. I think that those moves make sense. Of course, there is a risk involved in selling Joao Pedro, but you probably know about this. Really good fixtures for Chelsea in game week 11, game week 12, but Thiago, he has looked really, really good recently, so downgrading Joao Pedro to Thiago to make those upgrades. Kudus to Sar, Pedro Porro to Timber for a -4. It's a yes from me. So Radu Gavriluta kind of unlucky with the benched Pedro Porro in game week 9. At least you didn't bench as many points as I did. I actually had Van de Ven and Rodon on the bench for game week 9, so that's 40 points benched for me. But 47 points in game week 9, green arrow for Radu Gavriluta. Considering to sell Kudus, Pedro Porro, and Joao Pedro to bring in Igor, Thiago, another Arsenal defender, and Sar. I think this is really good moves, to be honest, so it's a yes from me. Tell us about your move. So this is my team at the moment. I have one free transfer, 1 million in the bank. I'm really tempted to do a move in defense. Pedro Porro, same as Radu Gavrieluta. I don't really see the Spurs defense doing well in the upcoming game week, so I'm tempted to sell Pedro Porro to bring in Munoz. I can do Pedro Porro to Gabriel as well. I'm not priced out during the week. Let's see. Actually, I have the exact funds to sell Pedro Porro to bring in Gabriel. I know that at some point I would like to have Gabriel in my team. I can do it this game week. Pedro Porro to Gabriel. But if I decide to bring in Joao Pedro, I would really like to have Munoz as well. I think it's hard this game week, to be honest. Of course, doubling up on the Arsenal defense. They still have really good fixtures. They are definitely the best defense in the league. Attacking threat, Gabriel can pick up defensive contributions as well. The perfect move. Another option is, of course, to do something like this. Would leave me with 0.8 in the bank. Gabriel is so expensive now. I know. Started at 6 million, comes in at 6.5, so it's kind of annoying. So Gabriel is like, last season he was in my team for most parts. Should have just started this season with Gabriel. I could have brought in Gabriel when I got Timber as well. I think it actually was FPL Lisa convinced me to go for Timber. It has been a really good move, so not complaining. They have matched each other, but Gabriel, he has actually gotten, let's see, 9 extra points compared to Timber in the last 2 game weeks. Got the assists and bonus points in game week 8, and he got bonus points in game week 9 as well. However, Timber is a bit less expensive, so I can use those funds to upgrade in other areas. I think it's relevant to consider another Crystal player. Yeah. I took a hit with Richarlison and Diouf out, Munoz, Mateta in. Oh, really good moves. I like. It's actually, you talked about my transfer of Pedro Porro to Gabriel being the perfect move. I think that Richarlison and Diouf out to bring in Munoz and Mateta is probably closer to being a perfect couple of transfers ahead of game week 10. Really good fixtures for Crystal Palace. They might actually have a double as well in game week 16, is it? Timber is going to score soon. Yeah, hopefully. He has actually better attacking stats compared to Gabriel, but yeah. Let me show you my bench. So I got 48 points, a small green arrow. The average was 46, so I got a couple of more points compared to the average, but on my bench, really frustrating. Van de Ven with 23, Rodon with 13, 2 points from Sar, 2 points from Dubravka. Another thing that makes this extra annoying is that I actually played my bench boost in game week 8. I was considering if I were to use my bench boost in game week 8 or game week 9. I decided to just go for the bench boost in game week 8 because I didn't really know if all my players were fit in game week 9. So I used my bench boost in game week 8, but definitely should have waited one more week. Made your bench dominate. Yeah, it was really frustrating. The thing is that The first game of the game week, it was Leeds keeping. Now they didn't keep a clean sheet, but Rodon, he scored, he got defensive contributions and bonus points. So really frustrating watching that game. I knew that Rodon was on my bench, and in the last game of the game week, Van de Ven definitely smashed it with a brace, bonus points. So yeah, Gabriel is looking like Zlatan at the moment. Yeah, so I'm actually quite torn about which defender to bring in this game week. I think I have decided to sell Pedro Porro. I know that he did well in game week 9, but in the next upcoming game weeks, he will play against my midfielders and forwards. So let's have a look at the fixtures for Pedro Porro. So against Chelsea in game week 10, and I have Joao Pedro. He's playing against Man United in game week 11, and I have Mbumo. He's playing against Arsenal in game week 12, and I will definitely have an attacker from Arsenal. It will probably just be Gyökeres. I'm really hoping that he can do something in game week 10. I definitely think that if you have the possibility to bring in Saka, I think that he is the best attacking option from Arsenal at the moment, but I have Gyökeres. I only have one free transfer, so I will probably just keep Gyökeres for the next couple of game weeks as well. Why not Van de Ven to Munoz or Lacroix? I can definitely do Van de Ven to Lacroix. The thing is that I think that Van de Ven, I brought him in at 4.5, so I think that he is really good value at the moment. I will lose some value if I decide to sell Van de Ven. Pedro Porro 5.5. He will probably be on my bench for the upcoming game week, so I think it's better to just bench 4.6 compared to benching 5.5 million. This is the reason why I'm leaning towards Pedro Porro. But let's put him back in and see what I can do. So I will have 5.6 million. I can actually not afford Van de Ven to Munoz. I'm 0.1 short of that transfer. So we'll probably just keep Van de Ven. He will, as mentioned, stay on my bench for the next at least 3 fixtures. So Pedro Porro. By selling Pedro Porro, I can actually afford every defender in the game at the moment. Gabriel, he is the most expensive defender. He's priced at 6.5, and I actually have 6.5 available. So Pedro Porro to Gabriel is an option. But at the moment, I'm actually leaning towards just getting Munoz 5.7. This will give me a double up on Palace and a double up on Arsenal. So I will have Gyökeres and Timber from Arsenal, and I will have Munoz and Sar from Crystal Palace. The thing is that I'm not really, I don't think that I own the best assets from those teams. It's kind of annoying. I think that from Arsenal, the 2 best options are probably Gabriel and Saka. So I have the next best options in Timber and Gyökeres. I think that probably the best option from Crystal Palace at the moment is Mateta. Nailed on 90 minutes, man, on penalties. I might actually do Gyökeres to Mateta in game week 11 if Gyökeres blanks this game week. But let's see what happens. He was rested midweek, so Gyökeres, I think he will start play close to 90 minutes in game week 10. So really hoping that he can deliver against Burnley. Really looking forward to the games this weekend. I think this team is really strong. I will most probably have Van de Ven on my bench, probably Rodon as well, and Kudus. It's close between Kudus and Paketa, but Paketa at home against Newcastle on some set pieces, including penalties. Kudus, of course, a decent option, but Kudus is up against my goalkeeper, Sanchez. This is one of the reasons why Kudus is currently on my bench. Munoz is very exciting. He has looked really good. He had a really good season in the 24-25 season. At the end of the season, he wasn't really looking that threatening compared to what we saw from August to like around probably February, March. But once again, this season he has looked really good for Crystal Palace. So I think that he is a good option, and I want to cover the Crystal Palace defense as well. Brentford have actually looked good. I know that a lot of FPL managers are considering to bring in Igor Thiago, and it makes sense. He's on penalties as well for Brentford. Tricky fixtures this week, can go either way. Yeah, and there have been a lot of transfers made this game week, and the thing is that a lot of the most sold players ahead of game week 10, they are not suspended, they are not injured, so I think there will be a lot of frustrated FPL managers. Joe Pedro, Reinders, Salah, all of them will start in game week 10, most probably. Usually at least one of the top 5 for most transfers out. Usually one of them are at least injured or suspended, but this game week all of them are fit and will probably start in game week 10. FPL Lisa, I have to go. Have a great stream. Thanks, FPL Lisa. As mentioned, I will catch your team selection video. It will be later after this stream or tomorrow morning, but best of luck for game week 10 and have a lovely weekend. I'm thinking about Saka captain, but Burnley conceded only 2 goals at home versus Liverpool and Forest. What do you think? I definitely think that Saka is one of the best captain options. So let me just put some stats up on the screen. So in my team selection videos, I always take a look at the best captain options ahead of the next game week, and in this section I always take a look at their opponent's stats. So let's see my game week 10. Oops. There we go. So these are the stats for Burnley in the last 4 game weeks, and what is really, we have to consider that they actually have kept 1 clean sheet. I mean, even if they have kept that clean sheet against Leeds, they are still definitely the worst teams when we take a look at defensive stats. So they have conceded 9 goals. This is worst in the league. They have had 14 big chances against them, 26 shots on targets, and they have an expected goal of 8.34. So I definitely think that Arsenal will do well against Burnley in game week 10. So even if they only conceded 2 goals against Liverpool, Forest, we have to consider that Liverpool, Forest, they are not in their best form at the moment. Those stats are actually, when we consider that they have kept 1 clean sheet, those stats are actually terrible. So I think that Burnley, they are still a team that we should target. So if you have Saka, he is a really good captain option in game week 10. I have Gyökeres, but I don't really trust him. He hasn't delivered what we expected so far. So would you do Mateta to Pedro, Kyrgios to Sar, and Stach to King? Thanks. Thanks for joining in, Jack. Mateta to Pedro Porro. I haven't really seen anyone consider selling Mateta to Pedro Porro. You're probably talking about selling Joao Pedro to bring in Mateta, Kyrgios to Sar, and downgrade Stach to Josh King, the Fulham midfielder. If it's the other way around, if you're selling Joao Pedro to bring in Mateta, selling Kyrgios to bring in Sar and Stach to King, it's a yes from me, but I wouldn't sell Mateta to bring in Joao Pedro at this point. I'm actually considering I might just keep Joao Pedro myself, but I have to admit that I'm a bit tempted to sell Joao Pedro to bring in Mateta. Yeah, sorry if confusing. Yeah, makes sense. So Mateta in, Pedro Porro out, Sar in, Kyrgios out, and a downgrade from the Leeds midfielder Stach to bring in the Fulham attacking midfielder number 10, Josh King. He actually scored midweek as well for Fulham in the EFL Cup. But I get it, it's a yes from me. I think those moves make sense. I actually really like King as well, especially if you're not going to start him every week. So having a decent fodder, 4.5 fodder that will start most game weeks, and if you get injuries, suspension, stuff like that, Josh King is perfectly fine to just put in your starting 11. But at the moment, I think that he is probably the best enabler. So if you're playing 3 up front, having Josh King in midfield definitely makes sense. I talked about this in the last couple of wildcard videos I made as well. Josh King in midfield is a really good option, and this can let you spend most of your budget on your best players as well, and you will not have that many benching decisions to make. So yeah, I really like those moves. Let's see if there are any teams. So if you're interested, head over to X, post a picture of your team selection under my latest post, and I'll get it up on the screen. It's this one. FPL Papali. Interesting team that. So if you're interested, head over to X, post a picture under this post. Oops, totally forgot that I had the Burnley stats on the screen. Let's remove this. Let's try again. So if you're interested in having your team reviewed, head over to X, post a picture of your team under this post. At the moment, Erling Haaland is the captain favorite, 64%, 14 Saka, 7 for a United midfielder, 14% for someone else. In the chat, we've had a mention of both Gabriel, Timber, Arsenal defenders, really popular ahead of this game week. I might actually bring in a second Arsenal defender, but at the moment I'm leaning towards going for Munoz. I can't afford to bring in Gabriel, but Pedro Porro, he will probably be gone. I think that Mateta, he will probably rise in price as well. If it's not going to happen tonight, it will definitely happen tomorrow. So I really need something from Joao Pedro. The thing is that I know about the stats as well. I know about Joao Pedro's expected goal involvement compared to Mateta. Joao Pedro with 0.33, Mateta with 5.45, something like that. So a huge gap between Mateta and Joao Pedro. The thing is that I really, really like the fixtures for Chelsea and Joao Pedro. Haaland, he is once again the bookie's favorite for anytime goal scorer. 56% chance of a goal according to the bookies. Gyökeres, he is next in line. Really good fixture for Arsenal. I talked about this a couple of times already. Really good fixture against Burnley. And on third, we have actually Alexander Isak. It's been a while since he has been in the bookies top 5. But he is next after Gyökeres. So Liverpool at home against Aston Villa. Alexander Isak, 45% chance of a goal according to the bookies. Arsenal, they are the bookies' favorites for keeping a clean sheet as well, 54%. Fulham is actually next. Good fixture for them at home against Wolves, while Man City, they are third. 40% chance of a Man City clean sheet at home against Bournemouth. Definitely start your Man City defenders if you own any of them. Anderson as well. I think that if you own Joachim Anderson, just start him. I think that he most probably will start and play 90 minutes. And if he's not fit to start, he will probably not play at all. So if you have Anderson in your team, I would most definitely just put him in my starting 11. And if you're interested, I actually made a new mini league last week. So I haven't posted the link on X or Instagram, anything like that. Only talk about this league while doing live streams like this. So if you're interested, the link is in the description down below. Join the, I think it's called FPL TFS Live League, something like that. So if you're interested, join the TFS Live League. The link is in the description. Thank you. It was great. Monity Tita, really, thanks for joining in. Always nice with some new people joining in. I usually do those live streams every Friday night ahead of the deadline. I post weekly team selection videos as well, so if you're interested, check them out. That would be really, really good for the channel. Get that watch time up. So I do usually 2 videos ahead of each game week, in addition to the Friday night Q&A. When I find the time, I have deadline streams as well. I think I actually have had 7 or 8 deadline streams so far this season. Starting to be a bit better. I had some problems with my microphone in the last couple of streams. I think it's a bit better this time. I haven't really had any problems with my microphone and the connection so far. But at the start of the stream, of course, something with my Wi-Fi, so there's always something. But I think that the quality of the streams, they are getting a bit better for every time, so that's good. So this is my team in Footium. It's a new online manager multiplayer game. I think it looks really cool. I recently just joined, created a team. You have to set up your tactics. My first game is in 3 days. I'm actually starting to really look forward to this game. At the moment in this game, it's pre-season, so the season hasn't started yet. Let's have a look at my league table ahead of my first game. I'm in Division 8, so hopefully I can get promoted in my first season. Division 8, it can't be that hard to get promoted up to 7th division. Let's see. Leagues. Games are played 10 o'clock on the 4th of November. At the moment, no one in my league has played, so of course it's just random. But if you're interested, the link for this game is in the description down below as well. So at the start of the game, it's really exciting. So you have like an academy and you get some new players into your team and you have to sign them. So at the moment, I've set up my team. You need to tweak the tactics, find a formation that suits your players as well. It would be really fun if other FPL managers play this game as well, so we can discuss tactics, players, and stuff like that. So this is my team. I actually managed to get this chemistry to be great. Took a while. I had to tweak. I had to change formation, stuff like that, to have a formation that suited my players, as mentioned. But team looks really good, and I will have more reports after playing the first game. I've just recently joined the Footium community, so I will definitely have more reports later on as well. At the moment, I'm really looking forward to the games this weekend. I have a couple of tough games. I have a triple up on Spurs playing against Sanchez, Pedro Porro. I will most probably just bench Kudus, sell Pedro Porro. The thing is that I haven't really decided which defender to bring in. I can't afford every player in the game, as mentioned. I can't go for Gabriel. This would leave me with 0 in the bank. At the moment, I'm leaning towards just selling Pedro Porro to bring in Munoz. I think I actually might just lock in this transfer. Pedro Porro to Munoz. I have been thinking about this transfer all week, so Munoz, where are you? Pedro Porro to Munoz. Should I just confirm this transfer and get it out of the way? Porro to Munoz. I can't still do Joao Pedro to Mateta. This transfer will leave me with 0.8 in the bank, so I can still do the Joao Pedro to Mateta move. Mm-hmm. Let's see, a new team. Let's have a look. This is Munir posting his team. Let's get this up on the screen. There we go. Jonathan, yes, do it. I will probably do it. Let's have a quick look at Munir's team. This is GW10 Team Selection with Raya in goal. You already have Munoz in your team. Vice captain as well, really interesting. Van de Ven starting, Gabriel in defense, Dewsbury Hall, as we discussed. I think this is really good pick for game week 10, especially considering if it's really close. I talked about that having a player in the Monday night fixture is always exciting. So I do agree, Dewsbury Hall ahead of Reinders in game week 10. Kudus, Semenyo in midfield, and Saka up front, Mateta, Pedro, and Holland on the bench. As mentioned, Reinders, Senesi, and Esteve. Jack, no Gabriel. At least Munir, he has Gabriel. I don't have Gabriel at the moment. I can bring him in this game week. At least I have Timber, but As mentioned, I will sell Pedro Porro. I will bring in Gabriel or Munoz, but let's take a look at this in a minute. This is Munir's team. I don't really like the fact that you have Van de Ven playing against Joao Pedro. One of them will cancel each other out. Of course, we know that Van de Ven, he can get attacking returns, but I don't really see Van de Ven keeping it up. He won't score a brace every game, of course. So if Joao Pedro scores, Van de Ven will most probably blank. If Van de Ven keeps a clean sheet, Joao Pedro will blank. So I always try to avoid having my midfielders and forwards play against my attackers, but seeing your team, I would probably go for something like this. I wouldn't really start Senesi against Man City or Esteve against Arsenal. You have Saka playing against Esteve, you have Haaland playing against Senesi. So at the moment, this is probably the best team selection ahead of game week 10. Would you start Rodon or Richards? Ooh, this is tough. I really like the Crystal Palace defense home game for Crystal Palace as well. Brentford, they have actually been a bit better in the last couple of fixtures. I watched the last couple of Brentford games. I was really impressed from what I saw from Brentford against West Ham, especially the Monday night fixture in game week 8. Richards has been carrying a small injury as well, so I think I probably would go for Rodon. It's playing against Brighton, so they're kind of like the same category as Brentford. Really tough start to the season for Brentford and Brentford, but in the last couple of game weeks, we've seen that they have improved. Igor Thiago, good option from Brentford. Welbeck as well. He has done well for Brighton. So it's a tough call. Probably it's better to play the fixtures and the home game for Crystal Palace. So Richards, but it's really close between Richards and Rodon. I would probably go for Richards. Hi, I'm on a free hit this week, and my team is Pope, Munoz, Gabriel, Timber, Saka, Bruno Fernandes, Minte, Iwobi, Mateta, Haaland, and Foltmother. Van de Ven bench again. I cannot. I already lost 22 points last game week by benching him. I did as well. Now I need him in my team. I definitely, with this team, considering that you have Senesi and Esteve as your options, I would definitely start Van de Ven in game week 10. So I definitely agree Van de Ven should start, even though he's up against Joao Pedro, as mentioned. But Munir, strong team, hopefully a green arrow. You talked about Saka captaincy. I would probably go for a Saka captain punt with this team. So I talked about Gabriel, I talked about Munoz. I was really close to just confirm the Pedro Porro to Munoz transfer 5 minutes ago. I will probably just go ahead and confirm it. Got support from Jonathan in the chat. Let's just confirm this transfer and set up the team for game week 10. So that's it, transfer made. Pedro Porro, he is gone. At least I got a nice parting gift from Pedro Porro, 11 points in game week 9. Merci, late captain decision tomorrow after a good night. It's probably a good idea to just have a good sleep and decide the captaincy tomorrow if you're still undecided. I think it's a solid transfer this week. Thanks, Johnson. It's done. Munoz is in, so at the moment I have a double up on Crystal Palace and a double up on Arsenal. So Timber is in, Gyökeres is in, double up from Arsenal, Munoz, Sar, double up on Crystal Palace. Double up on Man United as well, Delict and Mbumo. So hopefully Man United can deliver against Nottingham Forest. Mbumo, he has been great for me last couple of game weeks. Hopefully this can continue. I'm actually still tempted by the Mbumo captaincy. I think Arsenal have the best fixture, so if I own Saka, he will probably be my captain, but I don't really trust Gyökeres. So between Gyökeres and Holland, it's Holland. Between Mbumo and Holland, it's closer. But at the moment, as you can see, Holland is still my captain. Pedro Porro to Munoz is a no-brainer, no regrets. Patrick, thanks. Need some reassurance. I could actually have done Pedro Porro to Gabriel, so this was my other option, but this will leave me with 0 in the bank. At the moment, Pedro Porro to Munoz, I have 0.8 in the bank, so I can still do the Joao Pedro to Mateta move if I want to make this move. But at the moment, I'm actually leaning towards just keeping Joao Pedro. No Gyökeres captaincy this week. Certain this will be his game week. He was actually... I'm really undecided this game week when it comes to the captaincy. I kind of regret going Holland last game week. I was in the same situation ahead of game week 9. I was really tempted by both Gyökeres and Mbumo. I went for Erling Haaland, but he blanked. Aishan Rocks, hi mate, hi, thanks for joining in. Big red arrow for me in game week 9 dropped down from 2.5 to 3.1 million. A tough game week, but overall game week 9 was actually a good game week to have a bad game week. No huge scores, so this is a good thing. The most captain player blank, a lot of other popular assets blanked or at least stayed quiet in game week 9, so 2.5 to 3.1. Of course it's not a good feeling, but it could actually have been worse, I'd say. The double up would have been a great idea. Arsenal, true clean sheet, machine, yeah. Definitely, and at some point I will do transfers in midfield. I will probably do something like Pakta to Josh King, Kyrgios to, I don't know, Saka. But this will happen in game week 11 or game week 12. Won't take a -8 to change those players at the moment. Ouch. I had Van de Ven on my bench with 23 points. Yeah, know the feeling. I actually had Van de Ven on my bench as well. Let me put this back on the screen. I actually had a terrible bench experience in game week 9. There we go. So I had Van de Ven and Rodon. That's 40 points on my bench. My patience for Paquetá ran out. I have watched the last couple of West Ham games as well. It has been really frustrating watching West Ham as a Paquetá owner. He has been... I think he was better in game week 9 compared to game week 8 when West Ham played against Brentford, but 1 point in game week 9 was really frustrating. Whoa. Rodon and Van de Ven, yeah, I know, really, really, really frustrating. It's actually 40 points on my bench. So the team as a whole scored 48 points, while I had 40 points on my bench as well. So really close to being in the 100 club if I played my bench boost in game week 9. What makes this even more frustrating is that I actually played my bench boost in game week 8. I was considering to hold my bench boost for game week 9. The fixtures was kind of close. Decided to go for the bench boost in game week 8 because all of my players were fit. So I just wanted to get the bench boost out of the way at that point. Could, of course, picked up some injuries in game week 8, and this is why I went early with the bench boost. Can I show you my team? Definitely. So if you're interested in having your team up on the screen, just head over to X, post a picture of your team selection, and I will definitely make that happen. You can post your team ID as well, but this will not let me show your team selection. I can only see your game week 9 score. I still have to play my bench boost, so confused when to play. I think at this point it's really hard giving advice on when to play the bench boost. It's really, really team dependent. My advice would be to just play your bench boost if you have 15 starters in your squad. And if at the same time you don't have a lot of your players playing against each other, I think any game week where you have 15 players, and if those players don't play against each other, I think this is a good week for the bench boost. I have sent, please check. Thanks for the stream from Jonathan. Best of luck for game week 10. Exciting 3 p.m. kickoff. Thanks for joining in, Johnson. Best of luck for game week 10 and have a nice weekend. If you haven't done so already, please consider joining the new TFS Live League. The link is in the description down below. Let's see. I posted my team. This was Munir. So if you have a bench like this, I wouldn't really consider playing the bench boost, to be honest. Reinders, of course, he is a decent bench option, but having Senesi playing as Haaland, having Esteve play against Saka, Dubravka against Saka as well, don't really consider this as a good bench boost, but Munir, he has not considered playing the bench boost as well. This was just for giving an example, but let's see. Patrick. This is way too big. I think with this format, I think I need to do this. Let's see. There we go. So there are some formats that's really hard to fit into the screen, but no, the quality is not the best, but hopefully you can see which players we're talking about. So Petrovic in goal playing against Man City. On the bench, Dubravka. So I think starting Petrovic is the right call, seeing that you have a double up with Senesi and he is on your bench. So at least starting one of your Bournemouth defenders makes sense. Gabriel against Burnley, Van de Ven, Rodon. Seeing them in starting 11 makes me feel I have both Van de Ven and Rodon on my bench. I had them on my bench for game week 8 as well. Maybe I should have another look to see if I can start at least one of them. So double up on the United midfield. Lovely. I really like this. Man United, they are actually one of the teams with the best upcoming fixtures. So having both Bruno Fernandes and Mbumo, I really like this. Grealish as well. Monday night fixture against Sunderland. Semenyo, Saka, Mateta, Erling Haaland. So this is a really, really strong team. Captain Erling Haaland. I would have been tempted to go for a Saka captain pants. Would you start Achampong or Rodon? I would probably just keep Rodon in my starting 11. So Leeds, they are actually pretty decent defensively. And we know at this point that Rodon, he has attacking threat as well. So Chelsea, probably the better defense, but they have the tougher fixture as well. So yeah, start Rodon would be my advice. I think this is probably the strongest starting 11 with this squad. I'm captaining Fault Mother. So Aishan Rocks, did you post your team as well? Thank you, Rodon. This is not mine. Yeah, I know this is Patrick's team. Really strong in my opinion. 3-5-2. So I actually started to look at a game week 11 wildcard team. I post those game week wildcard and free hit videos. I have started to look at the best possible team for game week 11, and I think this will be with a 3-5-2 with Guihi on the bench. I think there are a lot of strong midfield options at the moment, so this will be posted tomorrow or probably early Sunday. So if you're interested in, if you haven't done so already, please subscribe to the channel. As mentioned a couple of times, I do those Friday night Q&As ahead of every deadline, and I post weekly team selection videos and wildcard and free hit videos as well. Let's see, I need to refresh this. There we go. Yeah, this one. Nice. So let's have a look at this team as well. Fault Mother, captain. At the moment, I can see Gabriel. So I have gotten a couple of questions about Gabriel, captain as well. I think, of course, it's not the worst idea. The only worry with captaining a defender is the fact that, especially if you're going to watch the game, I have done this earlier actually, and if your defender concedes early on in that picture, it's really, really frustrating. But of course, Gabriel, it will be exciting to watch this game. because of the attacking threat. So Gabriel, even if he don't keep a clean sheet, he can pick up defensive contributions, he can score, he can assist, and he can get bonus points. So confused between Gabriel and Fault Mother. I think that probably if I had Gabriel and Fault Mother, I would be leaning towards Fault Mother. I have, as mentioned, watched the last couple of West Ham games and they have not looked great. So Fault Mother, a really good fixture. They have actually been vulnerable on set pieces as well. And Fault Mother is a really big guy. He will most probably get a couple of good chances against West Ham. So Fault Mother, captain for game week 10. Yes, I think that's a really good idea. And you have Dan Burn as well. He can deliver against West Ham. So I actually really like this team. Triple up on the Arsenal defense. This is, of course, a nice differential. There are a lot of teams with double ups, but a triple up, this must be considered to be a differential. So Gabriel, Timber, and Raya, I think this is enough when it comes to covering the Arsenal defense. So especially considering that you have a triple up on the Arsenal defense, I would consider to captain Fault Mother. So a double up on Spurs, as mentioned, with Burn and Fault Mother in midfield. Enzo Fernandez against Spurs, Semenyo against Man City. Not the best fixtures for Enzo and Semenyo, but they are in really good form. Both of them will probably take penalties. Gakpo against Aston Villa, solid. I think that Gakpo, especially in the last 3 game weeks, he has looked like the best midfielder to own from Liverpool. Minte, good, nice differential, and you have Sar in for the lovely Crystal Palace fixtures. And we talked about Fault Mother up front, and you have Erling Haaland as well. Guehi on the bench, Senesi and Joao Pedro. Really, really strong team. This is really close to being a bench boost team, seeing that you have some really solid options on the bench as well. I would be tempted to play Guehi, but I don't really see who I would bench in game week 10 to start Guehi. Same goes for Joao Pedro, of course. He will start up front for Chelsea. Hasn't really delivered recently, of course. He's not really taking that many shots compared to what we saw in the first couple of game weeks and the Club World Cup as well. I watched the Club World Cup with Joao Pedro joining Chelsea in that competition. He looked really, really good in the first couple of games. Looked decent for the start of the Premier League season as well, but of course we all know that he has blanked. Is it 6 last game weeks, something like that? It's scary not having Akpo. He is a really good option, isn't he? And he will most probably continue starting. I was really expecting Gakpo to see a lot of rotation, especially when Alexander Isak was back fit. I was expecting to see Liverpool line up with Mo Salah on the right, Alexander Isak playing as number 9 and Ekitike on the left, potentially with Ekitike as number 9 and Alexander Isak on the left. But it looks like Gakpo is one of the most nailed on players for Liverpool at the moment. So yeah, Gakpo, really good option for game week 10. I still don't think Spurs are good defensively. I wanted Minte or Welbeck. I think that having a Brighton player at the moment is a really nice differential. The thing is that Welbeck is a good option when he's fit, but he will most probably get injured soon. So the same goes for players like Reece, James, Trippier. We know that when they are fit, they are really good FPL options, but it's really, really frustrating because we know that at some point they will get injured. It's scary not having Gakpo. Yeah, he is nailed. I think Gakpo, as mentioned, is a really good option. So I think if you still have your bench boost, this could be a nice bench boost for game week 10, to be honest. Petrovic against Man City, of course, not the best fixture, but he can get save points. You will have the double up with Senesi. Of course, as mentioned with Petrovic, not the best fixture, but he is a defensive contribution magnet and he can contribute with attacking returns. Guehi, solid fixture at home for Crystal Palace playing against Brentford. My transfer this game week was actually to sell Pedro Porro to bring in Munoz. So I will definitely have a Crystal Palace defender in game week 10. You have Joao Pedro on the bench as well. And as you say, Spurs, even if they kept a clean sheet in game week 9, they are not the best team defensively. So Chelsea, they can definitely score against Spurs in game week 10. But I really like this team, really solid options. At least 3, maybe even 4 penalty takers in this team. Couple of differentials. I want a Man United midfielder. Who should I take out next game week? I think having a Man United midfielder is a really good idea. I talked about the Man United midfield, and Man United, they are actually the team with the best upcoming fixtures. So having at least one of Bruno Fernandes and Mbumo makes sense. But Sar is really good as well, so I would just keep Sar. Enzo as well, good fixtures coming up for Chelsea, especially in game week 11 and game week 12. So I would not sell Enzo Fernandez. So it's probably between Semenyo and Gakpo if you want to bring in someone like Mbumo. Liverpool, they actually have really good upcoming fixtures, so probably Semenyo. Of course, his ownership is really, really high, so there is a risk involved going without Semenyo, but at the moment, Semenyo is actually not in my team. But of course, Semenyo to Mbumo or Bruno Fernandes could work. Greetings, I'm late. Thanks for joining in, BSO23. Are you ready for game week 10? I actually have made a transfer already this game week. On the screen, we have Aishant Rock's team. I think it's really solid. Could actually be a good game week 10 bench boost team. Shall I wait with the Man United midfield move? It kind of depends how many transfers you have at the moment. Of course, seeing that Semenyo playing against Man City, if you have decided that you really want a Man United midfielder, of course this move can be made if it's not for a hit this game week. Selling Semenyo to bring in Mbumo if you have the funds and available transfers. So let's have a look at the fixtures for Semenyo. So Semenyo, tough game in game week 10. Kind of a tough game in game week 11, playing away against Aston Villa. They have improved recently, both going forward and defensively as well. So tough fixtures for Bournemouth in game week 10 and 11. And then they have a good fixture in game week 12. So if you're interested in selling Semenyo to bring in Mbumo, I think it probably makes sense to do it this game week to avoid the Man City and Villa fixtures. It doesn't really make sense to sell Semenyo next game week, to be honest. So if you really want a Man United midfielder, and if Semenyo is the player that you want to get rid of to bring in Mbumo or Bruno Fernandes, I would definitely just do it this game week. I like how you don't follow the so-called template picks, you truly play your game. Yeah, and so far, especially when it comes to Semenyo, this hasn't really been good for my rank, but at least my other picks like Mbumo, he has made up for it in the last couple of game weeks by outscoring Semenyo. Hopefully this will happen in game week 10 as well. I really like the fixture. Man United playing against Nottingham Forest. I think the fixture is better for Mbumo, so hopefully this will reflect in the points in game week 10 as well. So Mbumo, I'm actually close to captaining Mbumo. I was close to captain Mbumo in game week 9 as well, but went for Erling Haaland. But Man City playing at home. Let me show you some stats from the last Bournemouth games as well. I have sold Richarlison to Mateta, looking to captain Mateta this week too. Yeah, decent option. I like the Mateta transfer this game week. I have considered to transfer Mateta in myself by selling Joao Pedro. My only worry is that I want to have a bit more patience. At the moment, I know that Joao Pedro still has really high ownership, but among the active players, Joao Pedro at this point is actually starting to become some kind of a differential. Really good fixtures for Chelsea in game week 11, game week 12. So at the moment, I'm leaning towards just keeping Joao Pedro. I have a double up on Chelsea with Sanchez and Joao Pedro. I have a double up on Crystal Palace with Munoz and Sarr. I have a double up on Arsenal with Timber, Gyökeres, and I have a double up on Man United with De Ligt and Mbeumo. So a lot of differentials in my team at the moment. Hopefully this will pay off. Thanks for the suggestion, mate. Have a great week, and thanks for joining in as always. Really, really appreciate it. Best of luck for game week 10 and have a nice weekend. If you haven't done so already, please consider subscribing to the channel and join the new TFS Live League. Pedro is scared of shooting. Yeah, I know that his stats have actually been horrible. His expected goal involvement is 0.33 compared to Mateta's 5.45 in the last 4 game weeks. So definitely really bad stats for Joao Pedro, but I have watched the games. He hasn't really looked that bad. Problem is that he's not shooting. Hopefully he can start shooting in game week 10. Guehi, Van de Ven, Rodon, or Senesi play 2 of these defenders. I would consider playing Guehi and Rodon. Van de Ven, tough fixture against Chelsea. I know that I actually got burnt by captaining. No, excuse me. I actually got burnt by benching Van de Ven in game week 9. But he can't continue scoring braces, so Guehi, Rodon, Senesi definitely want to consider benching. So it's between those other 3. Guehi, decent fixture at home against Brentford, so I would start Guehi. I think that Leeds playing against Brighton is actually a decent fixture for Leeds, and we know at this point that Rodon, he can contribute with attacking returns. So play Guehi and Rodon. So I was going to check something. I actually forgotten what I was going to check. So let's see if there are some more teams. Let's have a look. You said something about stats. Yeah, thanks. I was going to show you stats from the last fixtures for Bournemouth. Let's see. Give me a minute. So ahead of every game week, I make those graphics when I take a look at the defensive stats from some of the most popular captain options. So this is Man City playing against Bournemouth. Let's just fit this into the screen. There we go. So for the last 4 game weeks, Man City playing against Bournemouth, they have kept 1 clean sheet, but they have conceded 6 goals. They have conceded 11 big chances. So I've seen a lot of talk about Bournemouth being really solid defensively, but when we take a closer look at the stats, they are not top 10 for any of those statistics. 6 goals conceded, 11 big chances conceded, 23 shots on target, and they have an expected goal of 7.51. So they have actually been a bit lucky, only conceding 6 goals. This is one of the reasons why the captaincy is currently on Erling Haaland. Playing at home, he actually blanked for the last time in, was it like 12 games in game week 9 for club and country. So I think that Erling Haaland, he will be really hungry for a goal against Bournemouth. It was really close in game week 9 as well. He had a collision with the post. He did continue, he played that game. He was not in the squad midweek in the EFL Cup. So there is actually a bit of an injury scare. But I definitely think that Erling Haaland, he will start and play close to 90 minutes, or he will get a full rest. So not really concerned about Erling Haaland's minutes. At the moment, I have Haaland as my captain and Bumo vice captain. So Erling Haaland, I always, in my team selection videos, I always take a look at some of the most interesting captain options, and I take a look at their opponent's defensive stats. So on the screen, the stats for Bournemouth in the last 4 game weeks, and what this tells us is that Bournemouth, they are probably a bit overhyped. So they haven't really done that well defensively, not in top 10 for any of those stats. They have kept a clean sheet, which is nice, but they have conceded 6 goals, 11 big chances, 23 shots on target, and an expected goal of 7.51. And this tells me that I can't really see Bournemouth keeping a clean sheet. Traveling to the Etihad, this will be a tough fixture for Bournemouth, in my opinion. So let's see. This is my team selection for game week 10. I have made a transfer. I sold Pedro Porro to bring in Munoz. So the reason why I sold Porro is because he is going to play against my midfielders and forwards in the next couple of fixtures. So Spurs, they will play against Man United. And I have Mbumo, they will play against Arsenal as well. And I have Gyökeres. So Pedro Porro, he is gone. I kept Van de Ven. I think he's really good value and he's fine to just have on the bench. I actually brought in Van de Ven when he was priced at 4.5. So having Van de Ven on the bench is just fine. Having Pedro Porro priced at 5.5 on the bench, this doesn't really feel that great. So by selling Pedro Porro, I will be able to have more of my budget in my starting 11. So I actually like this team for game week 10. So Kudus is on the bench, of course. That's a lot of cash on the bench, but I could bench Pakita, but by benching Kudus, I'll avoid having my midfielder play against my goalkeeper. So I have Sanchez in goal. He will play against Spurs. So hopefully Chelsea can keep a clean sheet in this fixture. So Sanchez in goal. I have De Ligt, decent fixture against Nottingham Forest. Munoz, my transfer in this game week. Good game as well at home against Brentford. And I have Timber, one of the best fixtures, playing against Burnley. Arsenal, they are the bookie's favorite for clean sheets as well. As you can see on the screen, 54% for Arsenal for a clean sheet against Burnley. In midfield, I have Mbumo. At the moment, he's my wise captain. I'm a bit tempted by Mbumo captaincy, but at the moment, it's Erling Haaland. I have Sar, double up on Crystal Palace, NGI against Sunderland. Really excited for this game, Monday Night Football. I might actually do a watch along, a live watch along on Monday night, discussing FPL game week 11 while watching the Sunderland against Everton game. Pakita is currently in my starting 11. It's close between Pakita and Kudus, but at the moment, as mentioned, Pakita, he is in. And up front, Joe Pedro, Haaland, and Gyökeres. I still have the option to sell Joe Pedro and bring in Mateta, but at the moment I'm leaning towards just keeping Joe Pedro. Lovely fixtures in game week 11 and game week 12, and hopefully Joe Pedro can turn it around, and hopefully this patience will be rewarded. On my bench, double up on Spurs, Kudus, Van de Ven, and Rodon. I actually benched both Rodon and Van de Ven in game week 9. Hopefully they will not do the same as they did in game week 9. So I actually benched 40 points. But I think this is actually a strong team, and hopefully I will get another green arrow. So if you haven't done so already, please consider giving this stream a like, subscribe to the channel if you enjoy.